time to feed the viewers. Time to feed the viewers. They want their content. All right, I got something for them. I got something for them. You know it. Of course. I got something for them. You know. Got to feed the viewers. Hello, viewers. Another beautiful day. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good or excellent. What? Just sitting there putting out content here. Listen to this. This says here, Kroah Hartman makes a compelling case for Linux kernel drivers to be written in Rust. Says here, the debate over the Linux kernel Rust programming language policy continues. While some kernel maintainers are against it, Linus Torvald has reportedly said he would override maintainers that may be against honoring Rust code. Linux second in command, Kroah Hartman, has also been a big proponent of Rust kernel code. He crafted another Linux kernel mailing list post today outlining the benefits of Rust and encouraged new kernel code / drivers to be in Rust rather than C. Says here, Greg KH makes the case that the vast majority of the kernel bugs are due to stupid little corners case in C that are totally gone in Rust. He all for moving from the C code base to new code gradually being in Rust, where these memory safety bugs and other C shortcomings aren't possible. Greg acknowledged all of the Linux kernel C code isn't going away anytime soon, but does hope for new code / driver to be in Rust for avoiding bugs and issuing with C code. Below is Greg, and that's what's this LinkedIn post in full for interest in his latest thoughts on the Rust code in the kernel. Says here, as someone who has seen almost every kernel bug fix and security issue for the past 15 plus year, well, hopefully all of them ends up in the stable tree. We do miss some at times when maintainers / developers forget to mark them as bug fixes. And who sees every kernel CVE issue? I think I can speak on this topic. It says the majority of bugs, then it says in parentheses, quantity not quality / severity, close parentheses, says we are due to it says stupid little corners cases in C that are totally gone in Rust. Things like simple overrides of memory, not that Rust can catch all of these by far, error path cleanup, forgetting to check errors, values, and use after free mistakes. That's why I am wanting to see Rust get into the kernel. These types of issues just go away, allowing developers and maintainers more time to focus on the real bugs that happen, i.e. logic issue, race condition, etc. It says, I am all for moving our C code base towards making these types of problems impossible to hit. The work that Keys and Gustavo and others are doing here is wonderful and total needed. We have 30 million lines of C code that isn't going anywhere soon. That's worthy effort, and it's not going to stop and should not stop no matter what. It says, but for new code / driver, writing them in Rust, where these types of bugs just can't happen, and then it says in parentheses, or happen much less, is a win for us all. Why wouldn't we do this? C++ isn't going to give us any of that decade soon, and the C++ language committee issue seems to be pointing out that everyone better be abandoning that language as soon as possible if they wish to have any code base that can be maintained for any length of time. And then it says here, Rust also gives us the ability to define our in-kernel APIs in ways that makes them almost impossible to get wrong when using them. We have we have way too many difficult, tricky APIs that requires too much maintainers review just to ensure that you got this right. That is a combination of both how our APIs have evolved over the years. Then in parentheses it says, how many different ways can you use a struct cdev in a safe way? Question mark, close parentheses. Then it says, and how C doesn't allow us to express APIs in a way that makes them easier / safe to use, forcing us maintainers of these APIs to rethink them in good time is a good thing, as it causing us to clean them up for everyone, C users included already, making Linux better overall. And yes, the Rust binding looks like magic to me in place someone with very little Rust experience, but I'm willing to learn and work with developers who have stepped up to help out here, to not want to learn and change based on new evidence. And then it says, see my point about reading every kernel bug we have. It says, Rust isn't a silver bullet that will solve all our problems, but it sure will help in a number of places. So for new stuff going forward, why wouldn't we want to do that? Gotta embrace change, folks. Then it says here, Linux is a tool that everyone else uses to solve their problems. And here we have developers that are saying, hey, our problem is that we want to write code for our hardware that just can't have all of these types of bugs automatically. Yes, I understand our overworked maintainer problem. Then it says in parentheses, being one of these people myself, but here we have people actually doing the work. And then it says, the last paragraph here says, yeah, yes, mixed language code base are rough and hard to maintain, but we are kernel developers. And then it says, we've been maintaining and strengthening Linux for longer than anyone ever thought was going to be possible. We've turned our development model into a well-oiled engineering marvel, creating something that no one else has ever been able to accomplish. Adding another language really shouldn't be a problem. We've handled much worse things in the past, and we shouldn't give up now and wanting to ensure that our projects succeed for the next 20 years. We've got to keep pushing forward when confronted with the new code idea, and embrace the people offering to join us in actually doing the work to help make sure that we all succeed together. And then it says, thanks, Greg. Anyway, and then there's 140 comments in the comment section. Well, based on this article that I just read, what I'm seeing here is that like this all has to deal with adapting, embracing, adjusting to a new language, which is Rust. And by the looks of it, some people might be for it, and others might be against it. And then there are those that are in the middle, like, okay, maybe you could use both C and Rust. So when it comes to like new languages, and if it's helping you like making progress, then it would make sense to make adjustment to it. But use it because it's improving things, but don't abandon like your older languages, because those, even though they've been around for years and Rust is new, those older language might come in handy some point down the line. So when it comes to learning new languages, it's all about being adjustable, adaptable, and embracing, and you know, and ready to take on the next challenge, as far as our programming goes, our developers, So yeah, and you can tell by the 140 comments that's in this section that's what they're actually talking about here. Let's see, 140 comments. How many pages is this? Let's see, what are we talking here? Wait a minute, 15 pages? Let me get a crack at a couple of them, see what they're talking about here. What's this? Tolma said this. And that's it. And then who is this? Philly Prino said this. He might have seen a lot of C code, but he doesn't seem to understand how the borrow checker works, and doesn't know C++ enough. Could be a point. Now, who is this? Let's see. Who is this? Account said this. So you're saying that Kroah Hartman is lacking in competence? Are you sure that is the argument you want to use? All right, and then who was this? Shivi said this. That's what Shivi did. Shivi put up those four faces. The kernel maintainers are overworked. And then he has another picture. He says, "We like to help out using Rust." And then another picture is just like, it's just sitting there. Another picture is like what? Anyway, and then Al said this: "Rust haters are gonna love it." Anyway, and then E-Man said this: "How about the Linux Foundation fork over a few million to fund the thing in its name? They could hire more engineers, more testing, more QA, yet they don't. And while at it, maybe Mozilla or other stakeholders with resources could revamp Rust to produce lightweight binaries, have a stable compiler for it to be way quicker in the compiler." And then he says, "No, question mark. Okay, but then why do all these foundation and organization exist? And why do they hold such vast amount of resource while extorting the project they claim to help?" Got a good point. You got a good point about hiring some new devs. I mean, while keeping the C, like say C and C plus C and C++ around, hire some devs that are very experienced with Rust, and then take it from there. That's what I meant by saying not leaving the your old programming language behind. Anyway, who was it? Shivi 420 said this. That's why they like to say no. That's what they like to say. If you don't like it, then fork it. Then if you don't like it, then he says now we become XKCD standards. Smiley face. And who is this? Bag said this: "Is there any compelling reason to not use Rust besides introducing another language to the kernel?" See, you gotta be adaptable, adjustable. Yeah, when it comes to learning new things, Yeah, and you gotta embrace change too, Yeah. Anyway, who was this? Where was I at? Then what's this? Fedfer said this: "Why do you say he doesn't understand the borrow checker to me? It seems he has a good grasp of it working." Could be true. We get a couple more comments here. These comments are good. Let's see, who is this? If I can get this. Who is this? And then Yoshi said this. He responded to account. He said, "I will just say that Greg was heavily pushing the KD bus to merge before it turned out to be extremely buggy. He wanted it to merge ASAP. I would say he's either is not exactly highly competent, or at the very least he's highly biased, and that cloud his judgment. To be fair, that was nearly a decade ago, so I might be wrong, but I have my doubts." And then he says from the post, and then he says he responds to another one, says famous last words. Then he went on to say, "You know what is missing from this post? Concerned about things, workflow that may break, friction, conflict, incompatibilities. We had a taste of that with Ashai drama recently, and I am not surprised that some devs got frustrated. Maintaining a dual language code base has to go in lockstep, and there is friction on either side. Sure, Rust can solve some problems. It has its own challenges as well. Contained things are very hard to do in Rust unless you go for unsafe code, which is likely not much better than C. Keep binding up to date. It's going to be a headache." He says Rust system of extension and continuous evolution might be another issue. Linux is very conservative, even with C standards, and those move slowly either. He says this will be a completely new can of worms, and Greg is being too optimistic here. And then last comment here, and then V1 said this, "Nice. Look like I won't need to learn Windows anytime soon." Anyway, look, man, when it comes to learning like new programming codes, I mean, you got to be open for it. That's one. Being adaptable and adjustable. That's two. About learning these new languages. Like I said, it doesn't mean that you get rid of your old ones. It's just that you got a new language. Now, in one of the comments, they're talking about hiring some more devs. That's a good point. I mean, that's a good point. And those new devs can like work on Rust. Try to work on Rust, while the older devs, like some of the older devs that like the older language, they can keep working on that. So, and at some time they got to meet at a crossroad and try to like bring those languages together. So, learning these new languages, man, it's all about being embracing changes and learning something new, and being adaptable, adjustable, and just meaning that you got to make some changes, to learn that new language. So yeah, but if it's making things work on Linux, hey, why not? But like I told you before, there's 140 comments in this, and I only gave you about 2 pages of it out of 15. So yeah, that's what it comes down to, man. When learning new things. Now, take me being a gamer. When it came to these open world games, I was already adjustable I made the adjustment years ago. I was studying games and seeing like, okay, where they were headed, and I saw games that was like in open world form that let me know like, okay, this is where we're going. So I made that adjustment like years ago. So, and I was open, and me personally, I was open for the changes in video games when it comes to open world games. And now that they're here, oh yeah, I'm all for it. So plus there's plenty of work to do in open world games. But anyway, it's all about making changes and adjustments, man, when it comes to like learning something new, So yeah, But these I mean these devs, man, they have to understand that, you know, in order to get things to work, you know. So yeah, you know, can't be when something new comes up, you know, you can't be like what's that too standoffish, you know. You got to be ready. You got to be willing to learn it. You got to be ready to learn it. That's how the world works, man. Anyway, but look, it's the same with these open it's the same with these like open world games. Most people that play them today don't understand them. You know, they complain about them, but they didn't make the adjustments like in the early console years for games that were targeting open world games. They didn't. And when they got here now, they talking about, they try to say, you know, like older games are better. No, they're not. They're like a stepping stone. The older games are like a stepping stone to the open world games. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this video for y'all to enjoy. Though. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still Star Wars started playing. Dark Side. Go. Peace.